Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you all so much for being with me here today. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. Today, super excited to share with you my thoughts and my review on the Wilson Audio 50th anniversary, the Watt Puppy. Super excited to share with you my thoughts. I purchased these speakers. It's a little over 6 months now, and so I've been enjoying them for quite a while. I had the opportunity to listen to these things on all sorts of different music, and just really been enjoying them really through the winter months in particular, and even now, even though the weather's getting better and I'm outside a little bit more, still enjoy coming down and sitting and listening to these incredibly well engineered, well designed, and great sounding speakers. Super excited to share that information with you. Also, just going to give you a quick little brief, as it will, highlight of my tour of Wilson Audio that took place about a month ago. Super excited that I had the opportunity. Tyler from Utah Audio set the tour up for me. It was just me going through the tour with Tyler and Dave Ellington, one of the reps for Wilson Audio, that took me through their manufacturing process, and what a great opportunity it was. And so I'll be sharing that with you as well. Thank you so much for being with me here today. As always, if you like what you see, please go ahead and subscribe. But as always, and the important thing especially is to me, please leave comments in the comment section below. I love hearing from you. I love hearing what your experiences are. In particular, today, as we talk about Wilson Audio, the Watt Puppy speakers that I am really fortunate enough to own and to have in my room, as you can see right behind me, please leave comments in the comment section if you've had a chance to listen to these speakers, or if you happen to have these speakers, or the Sashas, or the Alexes, or the Sabrina X's. Love to hear from you and your thoughts, or any other brand, because really what we're all here for and what we're really after is, for each of us, we're looking for the best sound quality that we can possibly find. And for me, that meant purchasing a pair of Wilson Audio, the Watt Puppy speakers. I've got a whole lot more to do to update my system, but I thought this would be a great place to get things moving. Been in love with Wilson speakers since the 80s and 90s. I think they're just designed well. The most important thing, they just sound really, really well. And I'll talk a little bit about what that sound is that I really like about these speakers, and really the reason why that I chose them. But let's go ahead and get started. So I want to talk with you just quickly about the highlights in particular, mostly just the highlights, and a lot of things that really impressed me about my tour of Wilson Audio Specialties. Wilson Audio Specialties is located in Provo, Utah, not very far from me. I'm probably 30 minutes away from the factory, so not very far. The tour for me was arranged by Tyler at Utah Audio, been my local rep and has been assisting me in my audio system purchase, and of course assisted me with the purchase of the Wilson Audio, the Watt Puppies, that you see directly behind me in my room. And so he was really instrumental in getting me. The tour was just me and really Tyler. Dave Ellington, a representative of Wilson Audio, was the tour guide that took us through. And it was really a unique and really awesome, really truthfully experience for me. And I'm just going to talk about some of the highlights as we go through, as I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time, but really the first place, once we walked into Wilson Audio, the first place they took us was in the conference room, as you can see here. And they showed us a couple of videos, and they're on YouTube, and I'm going to put the links to them below in the description so that you can see them. The videos are called The Choice and The Guild, and those links for those videos will be in the description below. Once we had an opportunity to talk a little bit in the conference room and watch these videos, we then went down the hallway into the manufacturing area. But there was a couple of areas and a couple things that I wasn't able to go into engineering, because they were working on something in there that they really don't want to let out of the bag just as of yet, which I can certainly understand. So I don't know if it was a new speaker that they were working on, or most likely probably an update to an existing speaker is what I am probably guessing, not for sure, but I wasn't able to go into their engineering area and visually see that and talk to the folks in that area. So that was one area that I wasn't able to go into. Also, I wasn't able to take any pictures in the area where the crossovers for their speakers were being made, and I completely understand that. That's a very I would imagine trademark uh, type of process that they do. They did show me the area and the process and the actual crossovers, uh, but I wasn't able to take any pictures that I can share, and I completely understand that. The crossovers are meticulously built and hand assembled, which I was able to see and to watch. Of course, just a few years ago, Wilson Audio, the company that they were purchasing and obtaining their capacitors for their crossovers for kind of wanted to step away from the business, and so Wilson Audio went ahead and purchased the company, and along with all the equipment I was able to see that and to see how some of these capacitors are made, and really really pretty neat. So it really enabled Wilson to manufacture to their tolerances and to their specifications the capacitors that they need, and to see how these crossovers were assembled and put together, like I say, very hand assembled, hand wired, hand soldered. Really a neat process. Really a fine work of art. When the crossover is completely done, kind of a neat process that was, and able to see that was really quite neat. Of course, the crossovers in all the Wilson speakers could be replaced if a problem happened to arise, or more likely if an upgrade became available, pertaining to the crossover that they could swap out and replace, which I thought was really, really, really neat. So those areas, engineering and then the crossovers, I really wasn't able to take really any pictures, and wasn't able to see, and I, completely understand that. Our first stop was in manufacturing, and where the CNC machine was. And as you can see here, in the picture here, the CNC machine, I believe, if I can remember correctly, was cutting out parts for the Sabrina X out of what they call X material. The two products that Wilson Audio uses is of course, they call X material. X material. It's an epoxy type of product, or at least it looks like to me. They're pretty, vague on what they want to say, which I understand that. And then the other product that they use is V material, and this X material and really the V material, they're really dense. They're really, really dense. If you knock on wood, and they did a little test of knock on wood, you can feel the resonance. It's the same thing if you knock on metal. Then you knock on the X material, and it's very, very dense. Very little, sound coming from that as you knock on that, which is really one of the reasons why they use that in their speaker. Not to mention the fact that it is extraordinarily dense and extraordinarily heavy. The material, and they give me just a piece of it to hold, was incredibly heavy. So they use materials that are extraordinarily dense and extraordinarily strong and very, very heavy. Each of my Wilson Audio, the Watt Puppies you see behind me here, they weigh about 160 pounds each. And, that's just not something that one single guy can pick up and move around and adjust. It's quite a process to do that. While we were there, you can see here in this picture that they are assembling the Watt section of the Watt Puppies. The process is really quite labor intensive, and each section is inspected before being assembled. And also in this picture, this is a few assembled Watt Puppies and the Sashas and some Alexas. Once assembled and sanded, they are ready for paint. This is the paint process that is really labor intensive and goes through several checks to ensure there are no flaws. Prior to that paint process, of course, is sanding and getting everything just right before it gets to that. As you can see here, a set of Watt Puppies are being ready to be painted. As you can see, the V material, which is inside the front panel there of the Watt section of the Watt Puppy, before it gets to that paint process. I was very, very impressed with the paint area and process they used to paint the speaker cabinets. These paint booths and dust free are very dust free. The lighting in these paint booths are just incredible. I know the pictures doesn't really do them justice, but they are bright so that you can see very clearly what you are doing. Really, really serious, professional sound painting booths. It was really neat to see and to watch this process. Once they are painted, they are brought into a room where they are inspected for any type of flaws. And if flaws are found, they are identified and taken into another paint booth to be repaired and fixed. The process to ensure a perfect paint job really is a testament of incredible quality control so that no speaker is delivered with any type of flaws in it. And I don't know in this picture here if you can see the small circle around the flaw on this yellow speaker. I had to uh, uh, look hard to see, number one, just a circle that they had drawn, and then to see the flaw within inside of that circle. I was like, now where is the problem? They are extraordinarily meticulous on the paint that these speakers receive. And just going through, just looking at my own that are in the quartz color, they are truly flawless. They just do their finish work, their attention to detail is just unbelievably exceptional. It was really cool to see. Um, and that's really, and there was much more of it, but that's really kind of the highlights of it. Just to me, the attention to detail was uncanny, and really, here are the things that really impressed me the most about this Wilson Audio tour, is that the manufacturing areas are clean. They're all extraordinarily clean. And I guess, when you're manufacturing something like this and you're looking for the end result that you're getting, and uh, everyone knows Wilson audio speakers, they're not inexpensive. They're quite expensive. And so this attention to detail is so important, and having a clean environment as you're making these and putting together and painting and installing drivers and crossovers and so forth, such a critical thing. The only area that I noticed anything really of any on the floor, just so to speak of, was in this area here where they were doing the sanding. And that was because they were actively sanding down and preparing the speakers for paint. And so obviously there was, sand or excuse me, material that was being sanded. And so there was some dust from the sanding on the floor. The second thing that really took my, just really was crazy is just the overall quality control, not only just with the paint and the assembly and the cutting out and the materials that are used, but just the quality control. Every step of the process is checked and rechecked just to make sure that there are no flaws, there are no issues, there are no concerns. When they get to this part where the speaker is manufactured essentially, and the speaker is ready for drivers and the crossover, uh, they're tested. All the drivers are tested. They have a row of kind of like an area where all the drivers are sent a signal wave through and they are tested. And then once all the components are assembled, they're tested again. They listen to them. They put sine wave through them to make sure that measurements are what they should be as far as whatever speaker is being manufactured and being assembled meets the criteria that they have set in their engineering process. It's really neat to see this quality control. And I don't know, I'm sure that nobody's perfect, right? I don't know how many, if they have many at all, once they get delivered out to a customer, if they really have a lot of problems, because their quality control is really impressive. I was shocked at the detail and the time spent in manufacturing each pair of speakers that come out of this plant. It was crazy. I was just shocked at it. And then, of course, the last thing that really impressed me about Wilson Audio and this tour was the staff at Wilson Audio. And I think as I recall, and I could be wrong, I think they employ around 50, maybe 60 employees at Wilson Audio. So not many. It's not a huge manufacturing process. But the thing that impressed me the most about their people is when you walk through the hallway leading to the manufacturing area, they have a board with all of the pictures, and it has right below them their name and how many years they've been at Wilson Audio. And you know what the craziest thing is? The bulk of their employees have been there 20 plus years, which is just, that's a testament not only dedication of the employee, but dedication of the employer, Wilson Audio, in retaining good quality employees. There was a few that have been there 30 plus years, which is just shocking to me that there was, that core of 50 to 60 employees, that the bulk of them had been there 20 plus years. I thought that was impressive, and that kind of results in what you get, as an end product. But anyway, that's my tour. Dave Ellington with Wilson Audio, thank you so much for doing that. Tyler with Utah Audio, thank you for arranging it. I spent probably 2.5, maybe 3 hours there. It was absolutely wonderful to see the process on a pair of speakers that I actually happen to own, to see what that process is, and to see how really cool it is to see a product that you actually own being manufactured, and the meticulous steps that goes into it. And then of course, you're rewarded with the incredible performance that they do. Okay, the Wilson Audio, the Watt Puppy 50th anniversary. I've been living with these speakers for the past 6 months, or just a little over 6 months now. I've done a couple of videos about them that I'll put in the link. I'll put the links to those videos in the description below. One is the setup process that the Utah Audio folks and Wilson people came down and installed them using the WASP process. Also put a link to that, the WASP process, in the description below. And of course, then I did I think a few weeks, I can't remember what the title of the video was, but I'll put the link to it in the description below. But I did the first few weeks I did a video on the update of the sound and so forth. And I'll put the link to that video in the description below. But first, a little bit about the speakers. Of course, they are the Wilson Audio, the Watt Puppy. As you can see, mine are in quartz with the parchment grill covers. These speakers, like I say, I kind of went through these things and went over them and looked at them with a pretty fine tooth comb and inspected them, and I can find zero flaws in not only the paint, but just the hardware. As you can see here in these pictures, the hardware is just flawlessly done, in my opinion. I think attention to detail is utmost at Wilson Audio. I think the look of the speaker, and there's some people that don't like the overall look of the speaker, and I get that. That's understandable. That's just, everybody has their own design, right? But I tell you, the workmanship and the craftsmanship on these speakers are just, in my opinion, impeccable. They are done extraordinarily well. The fit, the trim, the attention to detail is absolutely stunning, in my opinion. These things look great. They feel great. And boy, I tell you what, they really, really, really do sound great. The drivers, as you can see here, they're nice looking drivers, but boy, and I'll be honest with you, I leave the grill covers on the vast majority of the time. I can really hear no difference between them off and when they're on. Maybe as time goes on, I'll change and I'll take them off and leave them off, because I did that with my old Bowers and Wilkins speakers. I had the grill covers off, but on these, I've opted to leave them on. Even though the appearance of the speakers with them off are extraordinarily attractive, I think they look absolutely wonderful as well with the grill covers on. So I've leave them on. Let me just kind of go through and tell you a little bit about the speakers. As you can see, the binding posts here at the bottom are excellent. They are just, I can't even begin to tell you how wonderful and sturdy and strong they are. When I borrowed a set of speakers to test out the transparent audio super speaker cables, I had to use the binding wrench that came with the speakers to tighten them up as they were spades, rather than the plug-in units like you've got here, bananas, like I've got here with the Kimber cable. And so, they're just really well built. As you can see up here when they are connected, the crossover is located in the puppy portion of the speaker. And of course, then they have the leads coming up, going to the mid-range and then to the tweeter, as you can see here in these binding posts. And as you can see, they're wired with Kimber cable, or excuse me, transparent audio cables. And so the fit and finish and look is absolutely excellent. And then of course I added the additional what they call acoustic diodes, as you see here, for the feet. I added that, and I think they look nice. I'm sure, and I've been told that they have a huge improvement on the sound. I had them installed right from the get-go, so I can't do any comparison to say, yay, they sound much better with them than they do without. I don't really have any testimony of that because I just had them installed as they were being installed in my room. So I don't know how that is, but I did glad that I purchased them. They look great and so forth. So really, I'm very impressed with the hardware and the fit and finish of these speakers. I think they've been assembled really, really well. Of course, having that opportunity to go down and see how it all is all done at Wilson Audio's factory, that really kind of instilled to me what you see here is the finished product. Attention to detail is very important to Wilson Audio. Well, how do these things sound? And that's really the whole reason why I bought these speakers, is the way that they sound. And I'll kind of tell you two or three of the attributes of these speakers that really move me to purchase these speakers. As I've been, the past few months, I've really been testing some different audio equipment, with much more to go as I upgrade my audio system. And one thing that these speakers have taught me in the short time that I've had them is this: everything up the chain from the speakers, including speaker cables, amplification, source equipment, is hugely impactful on the sound of these speakers. And as I'm sure it is on many other speakers, I'm sure it is. It's just what you get. What you put into it is what you get out, right? Well, I just wasn't really expecting the type of changes that I would consider little things to make. Maybe not necessarily inexpensive things, but little things. For example, a couple months ago, I had on loan a pair of the transparent audio super speaker cables. I'll put the link to the video that I did with that in the description below as well. I was shocked at the difference speaker cables were going to have with these speakers. It was shocking. The first thing that noticed was the bottom end tightened up and actually became more authoritative in the bottom end. Imaging on the top end seemed to be a little bit more focused. It was very, very interesting that these things were quite immediate. Another thing that I did, and I've got a video for this that I'll put in the link below as well, is I tested the Moon Audio 761 power amplifier. My Class A CA 150 outputs 150 watts. This one puts out 200, doubles its power as the impedance drops, and seem to be quite stable down in the 2 ohm range, as these speakers have a tendency to reach around 2.5, 2.7 ohms. Apparently, they can get down quite that low in impedance, requiring a pretty hefty amplifier to drive them. And the Class A's done well. But putting that Moon by Sim Audio 761 amplifier in there, once again, the music changed. Everything became a little better. Once again, like the speaker cables, bottom end was vastly different, way more authoritative, way more focused, way more articulate. The top end became really more focused. In fact, a little analytical, if you will, in the top end. I liked it. It sounded good. It sounded really, really good. But here, the change was pretty apparent and pretty obvious right from the start. Then I changed a source equipment. I brought down on demo a DCS Luna network streaming DAC along with the world clock. Put that into my system and started streaming from Qobuz. Actually brought in a coax digital cable from my Sony SACD CD player into the DCS Lina, and I couldn't stream SACD, the DSD layer, because it just wouldn't pass that, but it certainly did the CD layer. And the sound difference between just the DAC in the Sony and the DCS was striking. It was immediate. It was like, are you kidding me? I'll put the video link to that, the link to that video in the description below as well, because it was startling. The differences were unbelievable. I just couldn't believe the difference in CD playback through the DCS as compared to through the DAC in the Sony. Of course, the Sony's quite old. The DCS units, is new and has been for a little while apparently, but is readily available today and not cheap, very expensive. But I was shocked at how digital sounded. The sound was striking. It was wonderful. It was incredible. My thoughts were, how in the world do I figure a way to afford to buy this thing? It was incredible. I was shocked at how good digital has come, number one, and how digital can actually be. The good quality of digital was striking to me with that. So everything up the chain is important. And so, and these are just individual things. Can you imagine, and this is what I've been thinking, imagining putting that all together? Good speaker cables, an incredible amplifier, preamplifier, digital source, an incredible phono preamplifier to go along with my turntable and Manne cartridge. Those are things that I'm just like, holy cow, I am super excited. I'm taking my time because I'm trying to figure out what is the best thing to get, knowing that whatever it is that I get, I will probably want to upgrade in the years to come. And so it's just neat to know that everything up that chain from these speakers is going to make a difference. And really, from the things that I brought home, the difference was hugely better and strikingly different and better. Some of the things really that attributes of these speakers that I want to share with you really are these. The first thing and this is really one of the reasons why I bought the Watt Puppy. I was really looking for the Sabrina X speakers. That was really the speaker I was going after to purchase. I was really comparing them with some Bowers and Wilkins speakers, a couple of Focals, and on, and some other speakers. And I remember the day like it was absolutely yesterday. It was June 7th of 2024. It just happened to be the release date and the introduction of the new Wilson Audio, the Watt Puppy 50th anniversary speaker. I was walking into my dealership wanting to hear the Sabrina X's, and lo and behold, there is a brand new set right there of the Wilson Audio, the Watt Puppies. And Dave Ellington, the guy that gave me the tour about a month ago, was the representative there. I was able to meet him at that time. And of course, I reluctantly, stupidly, if you will, money-wise stupidly, sat down in front of the Wilson Audio, the Watt Puppy. And before the first song was over, I was convinced. I knew right there in my heart, even though I knew I couldn't afford them, I knew in my heart that this is a speaker that I really wanted. I've been listening to Wilson Audio Watt Puppies, 80s and 90s and 2000s, all the different variations of them before they stopped making them. and they were replaced by the Sasha and some others. And so I just was just listening to this first, and I can just remember just sitting there going, everything about the Sabrina X's that I've loved, the mid-range, the upper end, the pinpoint focusing, the detail on the mid-range and up and on upper end, high end, was in the Watt Puppies, but in spades. It was just, the mid-range was just like, are you kidding me? And like I said, before that, into that first song, I was thinking, how in the world can I figure out how to get these speakers? And so it took me a couple, 3 months beyond that to come to the conclusion that that's what I was going to order. And I ultimately did. But the thing that really caught me, the first thing, is the presentation of the mid-range and the top end. This is really why these speakers to me were chosen. And when I mean the imaging and the presentation of that imaging, an album that really comes to mind, and it's because it's a record store day and I've been listening to it, is this album here, Bill Evans, Further Ahead, live in Finland. This is a fantastic, incredibly sounding album. If you're a Bill Evans fan, the piano is unbelievable, striking. It is very well detailed. It sounds very natural, as a piano should. An incredible, incredible album to listen to this. The other thing that I really liked on these speakers that go along with that imaging, mid-range and the top end, was the really unbelievable soundstage that they would create, meaning from side to side and depth of stage. And the album that I've been playing a lot lately, and I even played my CD through the DCS line when I had it in my system, was Jazz at the Pawn Shop. And if you guys know this album, I know it's a classic. It's an audiophile standard from several years ago. On the very first track, Limehouse, I believe it's Limehouse Blues, is that correct? Yes, Limehouse Blues. Right before the music starts, you can hear the audience, you can hear the chatter, you can hear the clanking of the glasses and dishes, and the imaging on there is well beyond the speakers. It's just, and the depth of stage, it gives you a sense that you are really there. I've just never really heard it quite presented the way that the Watt Puppies do in my room. I've just never really heard it that way. It's just an incredible album. By the way, there's a song on this album that I've been listening to intently lately called High Life. And one of the things that I just never really took for granted, didn't really think much of it until I played it on these speakers, is High Life. And in that song, towards the end of that song, it's about a 7-minute long song, you have got some incredible drums. And I just never really paid that much attention to them. They didn't really have the impact and the definition and detail that they do through these things. And when I was playing this through the DCS, Lina and World Clock on CD, are you kidding me? I was just unbelievably shocked. The other thing that I've never had in my room that these speakers do incredibly well is the bottom end. Now, my Bowers and Wilkins, they would go around 31, 32 hertz. So they would drop down a little bit, and they provide satisfying bottom end. They truly did. Great speaker, as old as they were. But in this room, with these speakers, I believe go down to around 26 hertz. The bottom end is, I just can't even begin to tell you. I've never had anything like this in my home that can reach bottom end notes and just just good control and definition. The album that I have is that demonstrates this very well is Ray Brown, Solar Energy. This, of course, is the Analog Productions version of the album that just came out, I don't know, a few months ago. What an incredible album this is. But Ray Brown's bass is so well defined. It has incredible weight. Another one that I've always I've been a fan of for years was Return to Forever music, Romantic Warrior. Back here on Sorceress, the the bottom end in this song is crazy good, and I've been playing a lot of this one since I've had these speakers, and I've just never heard and felt bottom end in my room the way these speakers produce it. And then, of course, an old audiophile standby from 1,000,000,001 years ago. This is a repress of this album. I have the original. And on this album, and I really should probably take it out and show it to you, where the live cannons are on the 1812, you can see the grooves in the vinyl. They look like a bunch of zigzags. It's crazy, and the bottom end and the sound of those live cannons is simply stunning. Bottom end like I've never heard in my room. These speakers do it in absolute spades of wonderful. It's incredible. My wife knows that as well, because she said, well, I can certainly tell that the speakers that you've got now are a little bit heftier in the bottom end because it resonates upstairs. And of course, you can hear that. The synergy of the entire spectrum on these speakers is just incredible. At least it is to me. I can't even begin to tell you how wonderful it is to sit down and listen to any type of music. And yes, you guys all know that watch my channel. I am not a, a classical music fan, but I have been listening to some classical pieces lately that are just awesome. A couple of albums that I picked up down at Expona 2025 back in Chicago were classical because I heard them at the show and thought they sounded incredible and brought them back, and wow. So I've been actually listening to classical. I love the sound of these speakers through any type of music. It's been absolutely wonderful. So lastly, the overall synergy of the Wilson Audio, the Watt Puppy, from top to bottom has been absolutely wonderful to me to listen to. I have never had a set of speakers in my home that do the things that these do, in particular, mid-range to top end, and of course the bottom end, heft, weight, and definition and detail. And then, of course, creating a believable soundstage. I've just never had that. And so really, I have spent an awful lot of time down here because I'll be honest with you, I don't want to turn it off. I don't want to leave the room. I just love the sound of these speakers. As I've been listening to them for the past 6 months, they've just really grown on me. I'm really quickly just going to show you some of the albums that I've been listening to. I picked this up at Expona 2025 down in, out in Chicago. This is just an incredible SACD sound quality. What you expect from Analog Productions is phenomenal. I've been listening to the Ricky Lee Jones Showbiz Kids, a remake of hers she done from the original Steely Dan song. It sounds incredible. Her voice is wonderful. The music is incredible. It's an excellent dynamic and has excellent bottom end in this song. Track 3, probably my favorite on this whole double SACD, is Angel from Montgomery by Susan Tedeschi. And I've got a few albums from the Tedeschi Trucks Band where she performs in it. I always have loved her vocals and her voice. I think she's got a great voice. But on this song in particular, Angel from Montgomery, if you've not heard it, you need to. It sounds simply stunning. Excellent recording, excellent voice. It's absolutely wonderful. The track 9 on this as well, and like I say, I've been listening to classical more than I probably have ever since I bought these speakers. But track 9 on this is the Firebird Suite. This never gets old, listening to that song. The bottom end in that is just addictive. It's just an incredibly powerful piece of music. It just sounds incredible. I did pick this album up at Expona in Chicago. Dusty in Memphis, Dusty Springfield. A Little Lovin', first track on side one. This album sounds absolutely stunning. It's a very well recorded album from way, way back in, and Analog Productions has done a great job. Son of a Preacher Man, third song in. What a great, great track that is. Absolutely stunning, phenomenal, excellent vocals for that. The next album, and I don't know if you're familiar with Marion Brown. This is, I believe, a 1973 album. Um, the track on here is, and I'm gonna slaughter this because it's called Maymoun. I'm guessing it's track one. I could be uh, pronouncing it wrong. Maymoun. I'm not sure. If you're looking for really good, jazz music, this is absolutely stunning. Uh, Marion Brown's alto sax is incredible. Piano and bass and drums are excellent as well. Even on to track two, let me see what the name of the track two is. I think it's called Visions. The vocal in that is absolutely stunning. It sounds incredible on this. This is a great jazz album, I believe from 1973. Sounds incredible, really does. Okay, next one is Fleetwood Mac. This is on Mobile Fidelity. This is the SACD of Tango in the Night. Every song on this SACD is incredible. I mean, you can start with Big Love. Everywhere, of course, Christine McVie, what a wonderful voice she had. Sounds incredible. Little Lies, once again, Christine McVie. Probably my favorite song on this is number 9, Welcome to the Room. Stevie Nicks' vocals are incredible, but the drums on this song, Welcome to the Room, you got to hear it. It's incredible, dynamic as all get out. Very, very well recorded. Very nice job done by Mobile Fidelity. I thought they did a great job. And then Art Taylor, this is back on Analog Productions and SACD. What an incredibly great album. This is track 5, Cuckoo and Fungi. Excellent track. The saxophone and percussion. It's mostly saxophone and percussion. It is just well defined. The detail on it, the level of detail is incredible. You got to hear it. It just sounds unbelievably amazing. In particular, when I play it back on the Wilson Watt Puppies, it just sounds crazy good. Another fantastic album is Shelly Manne and his men at the Blackhawk. This is volume 1. I think there's 4 of these 4 volumes. I think they did it, I guess, a few nights. I'm not really sure, but this one here is absolutely stunning. Track 1, Summertime. It's a Gershwin track. What an incredibly awesome sound this produces. This is a great, fantastic album. It's on the Craft label. I'm not really sure, but I think it was mastered by Bernie Grundman. It just sounds incredible, the entire album. But listen to Summertime. This is a fantastic album. Sounds crazy, crazy good. Moving over to another one. This is a kind of an old one too, but it's one that I've been listening to a lot. It's Clifford Jordan, Starting Time, with Kenny Dorham, Cedar Walton, Wilbur Ware, and Albert Heath. What an incredibly awesome album this is. On track 2, on side 1, Extempore. The percussion and drums are crazy. Clifford Jordan's saxophone is right there. It's right there in front of you. There's air around it. It's like he's in the room with you. This is an incredibly awesome sounding album. Not to mention great, great music. Listening to this a lot lately. And on the Watt Puppies, I'm not kidding you. He's right there. He's right there in the room with you. It's an incredible album. Johnny Hodges, next one is called Blue Notes. This is a fantastic album. On track 1, side 1, the title track is Blue Notes. This is a Verve. I believe it's an original 1960. Gosh, I can't see the year on that. In the 1960s, this was done. The recording is simply stunning. It sounds amazing. It's a an album that you wouldn't really expect, but being on Verve, it sounds just incredible. What a great sounding album this is. Highly recommend that. Track one, Blue Notes, title track is incredible. Um, just wonderful. In wrapping up my review of the Wilson Audio, the Watt Puppy, I guess probably the best thing that I can say about the Watt Puppy is I don't ever want to turn it off. I don't ever want to leave the room. I get in listening sessions, sometimes those sessions I can spend, since I'm a retired guy, I can spend, some days I've spent all day. And now that, weather's changing, I've got some things that I needed to be doing, and I'm doing some things but I tell you what, I put a record on, whatever it might be, and listen to that record, and a tune will strike me, and I'll think of another album and I think, oh my gosh, how will that sound on these speakers? I honestly can say I have not put on an album, listened to an SACD or CD or digital file or streaming, since I'm starting to do a little bit of that now. I have not heard anything that sounds like, I got to turn that off. It doesn't sound good. I haven't. Everything just seems to sound very, very, just very, very nice. Of course, the better the recording, the better the mastering and all that kind of thing. Uh, Obviously, you get rewarded, right? The better those things are. And I've certainly been enjoying that. But I tell you what, the best thing I can say about these speakers, I don't really want to leave the room. I just love being in here, listening to them. Like I say, things strike me and I go, oh my gosh, what about this album? How would that album sound? How would that song sound on these speakers? And then with the thought of just a little bit of auditioning of other equipment that I've had the opportunity to do in my room on these speakers, I tell you, the best sound is yet to come as I upgrade and improve my audio system, my cabling, power conditioning, and so forth, power cables, everything apparently from maybe smaller to major are going to have a huge impact on the sound. And I don't know if there's a better way to give a speaker credit than to say everything you throw at it, everything you put in front of it is going to make a change, because it's going to reveal what that piece of equipment, what that speaker cable, what that audio interconnect, what that power conditioning, what that cartridge is going to do, what that source equipment is going to do, amplifier, preamplifier, and so on. It's all going to make a change, and it's going to tell you what it's doing. I don't know that there's a better accolade that I could give these speakers than that there in itself. It's going to portray everything you do up the line, and everything you feed it in the way of music is going to reward you with a great listening opportunity and a great time, which is really what I've been doing, a great time to sit back and listen to music that I love, music that I enjoy, music that keeps me sitting in my chair behind me and not wanting to get out of it. Thank you all so much for watching today. Please leave comments in the comment section below. I greatly appreciate that. Until next time, have a great day.